Residents at Brightview Senior Living Communities enjoy enhanced possibilities, independence, and choice. Brightview Dulles Corner in Herndon and Brightview, Great Falls, offer vibrant senior independent living, assisted living, and memory care services through various daily programs and cultural events. Chef-prepared meals, safety and security, transportation, resort-style amenities, and high-quality care. Everything you need is here. Discover more at brightviewseniorliving.com. Equal housing opportunity.
Did you know there's a national park just outside of our nation's capital where you can stay in cabins where future spies once stayed?
The park was mothballed during World War II. This is where the spies in training would have lodged.
And just down the road, there's a brewery with a spy theme. We're exploring Prince William County, Virginia, where nature, history, and food combine for a diverse getaway. Listen for these hidden gems by searching for the Travels with Darlie podcast on iHeart and wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts.
What's better than bringing home a brand new 2024 Samsung TV? Bringing home twice as many TVs when you pre-order one. That's right. Pre-order a 2024 Samsung Neo QLED OLED or the frame and get a 65-inch TV on us. Bring home twice the show-stopping drama, twice the jaw-dropping action, and twice the number of TVs. Samsung. Upscale every moment. Offer valid 3/21 to 4/11 while supplies last at participating retailers only. Pre-order a 2024 Neo QLED 8K, Neo QLED OLED or the frame and get a 65-inch TU 690T Crystal UHD TV. Wall mount not included. See participating retailer for additional terms and conditions.
Hi everyone, it's Amanda Rieger Green. Welcome to a special Soul Sessions episode. We are full on in Mercury Retrograde and eclipse season with other big astrological events happening as we speak. I have mentioned this to you before, but I am being as emphatic as I can in telling you that April is a game-changing kind of month. It is complex, it is chaotic, it is confusing. As best you can, do not get involved in the drama. You're going to experience drama, interpersonal discord, fear, turbulence. It's natural. If you weren't experiencing that, you might not be as awake as you could be. And if you aren't experiencing that, by the way, if you are so happy, joyous, free, calm, cool, and collected right now, and nothing is bothering you, good on you. Stay in that space as best you can. And I would encourage you to actually beam that light to all of us out there, to the people you know that may be in stress or duress, friends, colleagues, family that you know are struggling. If you are experiencing wins, breakthroughs, ease, take that beautiful frequency that you are holding and grounding in and see if you can radiate it out to others. You know how I say Care Bear stare? Care Bear stare that energy out when you feel it or think about it, because we need it. We all need it. But most of us in many forms are experiencing suffering, pain, deep-rooted fears coming up, external chaos, internal chaos, and I welcome it. Do I love walking through it? Not necessarily, but I welcome it as a significant shift because we've felt it building and it is here. I'm going to break down the solar eclipse in Aries on April 8th. See, there's Mercury retrograde. It's flubbing up my dates. So excuse me if I am a little choppy in dates and times, because there's a lot of significant dates, times, and energies I want you to pay attention to. So I will correct myself and be as accurate as possible here. But we've got Mercury, which retrograded on April 1st, April Fool's Day. A powerful, powerful total solar eclipse in Aries on April 8th. And then we have Jupiter conjunct Uranus on April 20th and Mercury stations to turn back direct on April 25th. That's a lot of energy. So basically, Mercury is retrograde the whole month. Anytime Mercury is retrograde, Mercury governs the mind. So it is about thoughts, communication, how we express ourselves, how we listen, how we don't listen, the voice that we are listening to. It's kind of like, which wolf are you feeding this month? Are you feeding the fear wolf? Or are you feeding the love wolf? That is really a great barometer or litmus test for the month. Which wolf am I feeding in this scenario? Am I coming from a place of fear and exclusion or resistance? Or am I coming from a place of openness, ease, and love? And truly, I have taken that temperature on myself. I don't know how many times in the last handful of days, really weeks, because I want you all to take a moment and think back to March 25th when we experienced the Libra full moon eclipse. Full moon eclipses, by the way, they're emotional, and sometimes they are way harder than solar eclipses because they bring stuff up from the unconscious. They bring things up for us to reconcile that we may not even realize exist, or we may not know we're ready to confront. And it can be jarring and harsh and painful. And in Libra, the opposite of Aries, Libra is about relationship, balance, harmony, collaboration, or the opposite of that, disharmony, dis-ease, imbalance, lack of collaboration. So, of course, relationships have been discombobulated or given us opportunities to reassess what is our point of view, what is our stance, and what boundaries may need to be reset, or what we need to communicate. That Aries polarity, when there's a full moon, you've got the sun in Aries and the moon in Libra. Aries being the individual and the I am. What do I need? What do I want? What do I desire? And how do I courageously, which means moving through fear, communicate that or assert myself or take instinctual action? And instinct is probably the most imperative word I might send out to you this month. Is how do I act on my instincts? Yes, there's an element of intuition, but instinctual action comes from just do it energy. Summon your Nike, just do it. What do I just get up and do? How do I act on instinct? And I'm not talking about reaction from a place of fear, pure instinct, which is prana, life force energy. So think back, by the way, just to that time. What has come up for you between March 25th-ish till now, till this eclipse? That is really important stuff for you to investigate as we move into this eclipse and around this eclipse. What is coming up for you to confront, to look at? What fears are coming up? What insecurities are coming up? What have you not been wanting to confront or face? What have you been forced to confront or face? Anything that is coming up for you around that, take note of it for sure. With this retrograde and the eclipse, and they're both in Aries, Mercury is retrograding in Aries. So it is really bringing up energy from the subconscious up into the conscious mind. Mercury represents our thinking, our conscious mind. Sometimes we do things, we act without thinking, and that's a little bit of that Aries energy, which we need. It is part of our psyche. It's part of our physical, tangible human experience. Instinct, vitality. Those things are imperative. Now, with this eclipse, one of the things that I want you to think about, and it's funny, I woke up this morning with this urgency or desire, and this was instinctual, right? Not intuitive. It was really instinctual. I mean, right when I woke up this morning, this is the way my brain works, by the way, sometimes. Brain and consciousness alike, higher consciousness, truly, in tandem with my thinking mind. But this was instinctual this morning. I woke up and I thought, I need to look back at the last time there was a solar eclipse in Aries, and I need to figure out what was going on in my life then. So I go to look back. Interestingly enough, it was on April 8th. That's when this eclipse is, April 8th, right? Is there not a synchronicity there? Like, that kind of blew my mind to start with. It was April 8th of 2005, and it was in 19 degrees of Aries. This eclipse is on Monday, April 8th, 2024, in 19 degrees of Aries. We are at a pivotal point, and you know how many synchronicities are coming through for you all in a multitude of ways, whether it's the numerology and the number codes, or it's animal medicine and energy, or signs, or your telepathy being heightened, dreams, correlations, deja vu, lots of deja vu and timeline shifts for people. strange occurrences, strange things, stranger things are happening, right? They're only going to happen more frequently and rapidly as the year progresses, because this eclipse is like a punctuation mark that basically is like a fire starter for the remainder of this year and into 2025. You know what I say sometimes about the energy or the numerology of the 8? It's like we've gotten on the roller coaster or the ride at the theme park, and they've already put the safety down and they've hit start, or they've, pulled the lever, and it is about to rapidly accelerate. And I've told you, quantum leap kind of energy, and that's Jupiter conjunct Uranus. We're already in that conjunction, even though the conjunction is exact on the 20th, which really signifies a leap in consciousness, a leap in technology, moving innovatively, rapidly at an accelerated rate towards the future. That is happening. But during this eclipse, what is very curious is there are all these significant astrological configurations that are happening. And I'm going to break that down a little bit and dive deeper. But I want you to think back to April-ish of 2005. And you may not remember exactly what was going on in April. I happen to remember that. Of course, once I saw that, everything started flooding in. It was a very significant time for me personally. I graduated graduate school in Boston. I lived in Boston. And I don't know if many of you know this, but I have a Master of Public Health. And right after college, I went to Boston University and got my Master of Public Health in Health Law, Bioethics, and Human Rights. And then also because of the overachiever that I've been healing in certain ways, where a lot of that overachiever for me is if I have a degree, if I have the credentials, then I am worthy or valuable. And that's an old story for me. It's hardwired in my family. It's hardwired in my genetics and DNA, my drive. But this perception of if I have the credentials, then I have some sort of knowledge or expertise, and I am enough. I am worthy. I am valuable. I adored that degree, and it was very synchronistic and aligned. However, in April, just before I graduated in May, I was interviewing for jobs. And this is right around the time of the eclipse, mind you. And looking back, I know the significance of this, and I'm just breaking it down to give you some examples because it triggered a cycle of massive upheaval and change for me, and it was extremely disempowering. I couldn't have known it would be disempowering at the time, but the choice I made triggered a lot of fear and a lot of fear around my identity. Aries. So think about it. I had been in school most of my life, from elementary school, preschool, up until college and graduate school. So I was no longer going to be a student in the academic realm. I was going to have to go out into the world and work, have a job, have a career. So making that shift, right, that leap in my early 20s. But I had been interviewing for jobs. And I had a job with the state of Massachusetts, working in their insurance commission. I had a job offer, and I would be crunching numbers and doing things that, quite frankly, when I look at it today and I know what I felt in my heart, first of all, it felt really boring to me. You all know a lot of me and my heart. I'm a connector. I'm a people person. I ended up in business development, organizational and people development, in strategy with people, and igniting and inspiring people's talents and putting them in the right places and giving them the right resources. I mean, that flows out of me. That's in my heart. But I would have been in this job, which was a great stepping stone. And I would have been crunching numbers, doing kind of actuarial stuff, which is really not my forte. And y'all know I love numbers and numerology, but I am not a statistician, a mathematician. While I had a lot of training in that in my public health degree, like with statistics and epidemiology and all of that stuff, it was not where I was lit up. I was lit up in health law and bioethics and human rights and things that really advocated my humanitarian side, but also my creativity. So I had this job offer. And it was like, I'm laughing because some of you know this personal story. I've used it before, but I don't think I've shared it on the podcast. I had a job offer and they were going to pay me like $36,000.
Let's hit it. Give me a vacation. Give me a wave. Surfing. Give me a city tour. The trolley. Give me animals. The zoo. Give me some sea life. Give me museums. Balboa Park. Give me a woo. Roller coaster. What's that spell? San Diego.
If you're happy and you know it, San Diego is the place to show it. Book your family vacation at sandiego.org. Funded in part with the City of San Diego Tourism Marketing District Assessment Funds.
Hey there, it's Ryan Seacrest for Safeway. Now through April 23rd, head into your local store and check out the great new personal care products. Shop now and discover new arrivals like Secrets Aluminum Free Whole Body Spray, Shea Moisture Deodorant Cream, and Hello Deodorant. Start the season with new and refreshing spring scents. You don't want to miss out on these great new products. Discover what's new in store today. Offer expires April 23rd. Restrictions apply. Promotions may vary. Visit Safeway.com for more details.
This is it. Your moment. This is your time to make your comeback with Purdue Global. When you come back with a Purdue Global degree, you create opportunity for yourself, your family, and your future. It's a degree you can be proud of, a degree that employers will trust and respect. Purdue Global offers working adults like you over 175 flexible degree programs to meet your specific career goals. These include associate, bachelor's, master's, and doctoral degrees and certificates. Purdue Global degree programs range from nursing to business to communication and more. Whatever your interest, we have the degree that will move you forward. You have the knowledge, you have the experience. Now it's time to get credit for the work you've done and earn the recognition you deserve with Purdue Global. Purdue's online university for working adults. You know you're worth it. We do too. So don't wait another second to get the degree that will take your career to the next level. Start your comeback today at purdueglobal.edu.
I had a job offer and they were going to pay me like $36,000. Okay, mind you, I'm living in Boston. It was super expensive. I am just graduating grad school, so I had student loans. And I was working at Ann Taylor all throughout graduate school. And in order to stay in Boston and do that job, I would have had to also work at Ann Taylor while working a full-time job for the government, for the state of Massachusetts. There was no way to actually live in Boston, pay my bills on that salary. I would have to have two jobs, and I couldn't have done it mentally or even maybe physically. Maybe I could have, but it just didn't fit. And it didn't seem right. However, there was a very clear path that was starting to be laid out for me in healthcare reform, just being aligned and meeting with people in political positions, which is what I thought I wanted to do, healthcare policy, those sorts of things. But I remember thinking, this is not sustainable. I can't afford this. And also, this job is not worth the risk because I'm not excited about the job. I don't know that this is what I want to be when I grow up. I don't even know if I really am capable of doing the job they're offering me. Mentally, am I an imposter? They're offering me this job, but I don't really know if I can compute and calculate and do what they want me to do. So anyway, I made a decision between then and my graduation to move back to Texas. And I moved back in at 20 some odd years old. I turned 25 that year, so I was 24 at the time, to move back to Texas, to Austin, Texas, and move in with my mother. I had not lived with my mom since I graduated high school because I had gone away to college and then I went away to graduate school. But I made the decision to come back to Texas and move in with my mother. And that triggered a whole other series of events. And it opened up a story, a journey for me that was interesting and dynamic and messy and confusing. But when I came back to Texas, and here is the disempowering part. When I came back to Texas, and remember this is 2005, literally where I had been in Massachusetts, it was so active, politically active around healthcare, public health, healthcare reform, and my degree was really respected Okay. I had a Master of Public Health from Boston University. And all of these things are important to me, right? You recognize me. You see how important I am or how smart I am, or look at my degree. I mean, I am showing you all my misconceptions of self, of identity, my worth being defined by credentials or achievements in order to show my stature or my capability. And then here I'm telling you they're offering me a job and I don't even think I can do it, and I don't want to do it. So I have all this internal strife and conflict, but I made this decision to move back to Texas. I moved back to Texas, and over the course of the next 6 months, really, actually, it was almost a year, because it would not be until March of 2006 that I took a job, and I took a job in Houston, Texas. It took me that long to find a job in my field area of expertise that seemed like a fit at the time, and it was a big divine setup. I moved back to Austin. I went to work at Ann Taylor in Austin, and I was putting out resumes. I was making contacts. I was networking. And almost everyone I met did not recognize my degree. What is a Master of Public Health? Like, what are you really qualified to do? Oh, you're overqualified. You can't do this job. I mean, I was looking in the hospital systems because I was trained as a bioethicist. I could have been a bioethicist, and I was just running up against either you're over-credentialed or we don't think you're credentialed at all to do this. And it went on for months. And even to the extent of very personal interactions where I felt very dismissed or unimportant or unintelligent or being put in my place. There was a lot of disheartening stuff and disparaging things that happened to me personally that I took very personally, by the way, because my ego was being shattered. My sense of identity was being shattered, and I really was lost for months. And what I found my solace in, where I found my happiest self, was my mom was a nurse, and I was living with her, and we had lots of friends in the neighborhood. Shout out to Onion Creek. If you know, my Onion Creek crew. But like in the evening, I would prepare dinner for everybody. Like I would be in the kitchen. I'm really good with salad dressings. That's my jam. My dad made salad dressings. We never had a bottled salad dressing in our refrigerator. He made salad dressings from scratch, sauces from scratch. And I love to do that. I do that to this day. And it also brings me a lot of joy. So I would cook for everyone, and like they'd come home and I would entertain. You know, everybody would come from work. They'd have their cocktails. I would make like specialty cocktails for everybody. You know, this is another lifetime of mine ago. I don't make specialty cocktails anymore, but I sure do make a heck of a homemade salad dressing, and I can whip it up from anything in anybody's kitchen. But anyway, I literally am like curating meals and stuff to the point where I thought I wanted a show on the Cooking Network. That I was like, maybe I'm supposed to go back to school and become a chef or become some kind of cooking show host. Nothing clicked for a long time. And I'm sharing this with you because I look back and I see what an identity crisis was going on, and I want to liken it to the energies that we're experiencing now. Whatever turmoil and chaos is either going on within you and around you, get still and take a look at it. It is so important, not only for this time and utilizing this eclipse energy wisely to propel and accelerate you, but it's about your identity. It's about old wounding that needs to be fleshed up, and fears you get, not you have to, you get to face. I mean, suffering and fears and pain around who you are and how you assert yourself. It's very important to really know that Aries energy is about the will to exist. I want to live, I want to exist, and I want to be who I am unapologetically. I am reclaiming my authority, my agency, and my sovereignty. And how do I instinctually express that? I encourage all of you as a tool, as a practice, to listen back to last week's podcast with Allie Fallon. We talk about writing your story. And that was all very purposely and intentionally set up and could not have been more divine, that conversation, and also timely, because she gives a lot of insight. She is a publishing coach and a writer. She's also extremely wise, but she gives so many journal prompts about the hero's journey, summoning your inner sovereignty and your agency. And she gives a lot of great insights as to how to look at that using your journaling. This is a great time to journal. It's always a great time to journal. She also gives a great nugget of wisdom around how 4 days of journaling in a row for 20 minutes will impact your mental health for 6 months. So just listen back to it, because it's worth a listen just to give you a little bit more oomph and clarity around some practical action you can take around this eclipse. And there's a lot of energy where the eclipse tracks. And I'm going to talk about NASA. I'm going to talk about the Hadron Collider at CERN. And I'm going to talk about really something that is very important to me, an astrological configuration that I have probably not mentioned in the podcast. And I will go deeper into this in the weeks ahead so you can start digging in, understanding your wounds, and also understanding maybe your direction forward a little better. But I'm going to talk about Chiron. Chiron is an asteroid that's like a comet. And the reason it's like a comet, it's like a hybrid, okay? Chiron is this asteroid in the sky that orbits typically between Saturn, the past, the formulations, the formularies, the responsibilities, a very masculine energy, and Uranus, the future, the revolutionary, the innovator. The reason it's like a hybrid is because it has a tail like a comet, but it's classified mostly as an asteroid. So it's like a comet asteroid. And Chiron in mythology was half man, half horse. He was a centaur. You can go back and look into some Chiron mythology. He was a healer amongst the centaurs. And there's a lot of interesting mythology around what he did in that mythological story. And this also goes back to the conversation that Allie and I had about the hero's journey, which is totally Joseph Campbell. Follow your bliss. What is the evolution of your hero's journey? This all relates to Aries energy, is your mighty I am, being the hero of your own life, the main character in your story. That makes me think of the movie The Holiday. And I think of that conversation with Kate Winslet and the older gentleman in there. And he says, you, my friend, you are acting like the best friend, but I can see you. You're a leading lady, but you are acting like the best friend in your life. And she just says, I've been working with a therapist for years. My therapist has never expressed this clearly to me, harshly, but clearly. So I ask you, are you the leading lady or gentleman, or they? Are you the leading they in your own life? Or are you the best friend? What are you being in your life? That's what this energy is about. So during this eclipse, Chiron, the wounded healer, that's what Chiron is called, the asteroid. It triggers our deepest, most unconscious karmic wounds. And they come up to the surface. Chiron is exactly conjunct the sun and the moon to the minute at the time of the eclipse. This is unprecedented opportunity for deep subconscious, unconscious karmic wounding. And if you don't understand or subscribe to karma or past lives, throw that out the window and think about childhood wounding, conditioning. Just like me sharing with you, a big part of the story that I have unwritten is that my credentials dictate my worth or expertise or validation. That's a lot of childhood stuff. It's also a lot of karmic stuff for me, but also being the lead character in my own life versus the best friend, the supporting actor or actress. Think about that stuff. This is your journal material. This is your opportunity to be in the eye of the hurricane during the months ahead, but especially April. And if you listened to the energy forecast that I put out for April with the numerology and the astrology, I said, be okay with chaos. It's going to come. Some of it's going to be yours. Some of it's going to be other people's stuff. Some of it's going to be on a geopolitical scale, on a world scale. What can you control? yourself, your attitudes, actions, and behaviors. And for me, what's been coming up is, how can I be easy? Whatever's coming at me, can I relax and surrender to it? Can I be easy? Can I come at it with an open heart? Can I come at it with a perspective of curiosity versus restriction or limitation or stubbornness? Gosh, I can be stubborn. Even though I don't think I'm stubborn, I'm totally stubborn sometimes because I get stuck in my own rigidity or dogma. And sometimes it eludes me, right? It's really unconscious. And I think I'm being flexible, but in actuality, I'm hanging on tight to something.
Hey there, it's Ryan Seacrest for Safeway. Now through April 23rd, head into your local store and check out the great new personal care products. Shop now and discover new arrivals like Secrets Aluminum-Free Whole Body Spray, Shea Moisture Deodorant Cream, and Hello Deodorant. Start the season with new and refreshing spring scents. You don't want to miss out on these great new products. Discover what's new in store today. Offer expires April 23rd. Restrictions apply. Promotions may vary. Visit Safeway.com for more details.
This is it. Your moment. This is your time to make your comeback with Purdue Global. When you come back with a Purdue Global degree, you create opportunity for yourself, your family, and your future. It's a degree you can be proud of, a degree that employers will trust and respect. Purdue Global offers working adults like you over 175 flexible degree programs to meet your specific career goals. These include associate, bachelor's, master's, and doctoral degrees and certificates. Purdue Global degree programs range from nursing to business to communication and more. Whatever your interest, we have the degree that will move you forward. You have the knowledge, you have the experience. Now it's time to get credit for the work you've done and earn the recognition you deserve with Purdue Global, Purdue's online university for working adults. You know you're worth it. We do too. So don't wait another second to get the degree that will take your career to the next level. Start your comeback today at purdueglobal.edu.
Asking the right questions can greatly impact your future, especially when it comes to your finances. So if you're looking for a financial advisor you can trust, certified financial planner professionals are committed to acting in your best interest. That's why it's got to be a CFP. Find your CFP professional at letsmakeaplan.org.
I have experienced my own pain through this eclipse season, and it's been very, very personal. I lost my dog, Tex. He was almost 17 years old on Tuesday, which was just a handful of days ago. We had to put him to sleep, and it was a very difficult Easter weekend as his body declined. And as you can imagine, you all know with loss and grief, gosh, I've been through this a lot over the past 14 months, plus the last 2 years. This is the third loss I have had that has been very intimate, where I've had to palliate or hospice someone that I love. My mother, then my mother's dog a few months ago, and now Tex, the absolute love of my life. And it was painful and it was beautiful, and there is a peace and a release. And I saw where I was being stubborn around it, human attachment. Even though I know he was being set free and he will be with me, he is with me. Lord have mercy, he's with me. He is an angel from another realm. He came from the angelic realm to walk with me and to guide me on this earth. And now he gets to be a part of my troops on the other side. And he is. But of course, that's painful, and you all know. So I'm in it. You all have been in it in whatever ways you are experiencing it. And again, I can lay that out for you. Is it your health? Is it your marriage or an interpersonal relationship? Is it something with a child? Is it something with your job, money, fear around money and finances? Is it physical safety? Is it a deep spiritual battle that you have going on around faith and fear? A lot of people feel punished. I've had a lot of punishment energy come through with people. Why is God doing this to me? Makes me think of Jesus. My God, why have thou forsaken me? And then on the converse side of that, I think of Christ consciousness and Jesus showing up in love. And that's what this time is about. It's about embracing greater compassion, deeper compassion, what is also called self-forgetting. May I fall down on my knees and pray for someone else and be so selfless. And this is not about losing your sovereignty or identity, but being so fundamentally secure in yourself and your soul, your higher consciousness, that you are here for ease, love, and peace. One of the things I want to say about Chiron in Aries, which is where Chiron is, and if you were born like April 1 of 1968 to March 28th of 77, most likely your natal Chiron is in Aries. You have to look back at the table. I will put that in the show notes because there's a couple of times in that phase between 68 and 77 where Chiron ingresses back into Pisces and then Taurus, but mostly Chiron is in Aries. So this is impacting you all greater. If you have an Aries sun sign, moon, ascendant, of course this is impacting you. If you've got Libra, any of the cardinal signs, so Libra and Aries, Cancer and Capricorn, we're getting kind of harsher, like it kind of call to action energy. All of us are experiencing this. You just may be experiencing greater turmoil, especially for those of you out there who do have your natal Chiron in Aries. But so I urge you to take a look back at that, check your natal chart. You know, I always encourage you to do that if you haven't figured out your natal astrology. Whether you believe in or understand astrology, it's a great tool to activate memory, cellular memory, activate genetic enlightenment. There's a lot of stuff's being activated in our genes right now. So massive solar flares, stuff is happening in the cosmos. Do you remember I said I would talk about NASA a little bit? On the day of the eclipse, NASA is launching 3 sounding rockets into the moon's shadow of the eclipse. Like it collides with the eclipse path and the shadow of the eclipse. How is this significant? It's very curious. There's also been rumors that, and online it says, no, this is not happening. So I don't know what is or isn't true. I'm just using my inner knowing and my inner compass that this is all quite curious. Does it scare me? No. But CERN, the Hadron Collider, that really works on, it's the organization, the European Organization for Nuclear Research. They're talking about CERN activating the collider on April 8th. And it says online, no, they're not doing this, but there's been a lot of speculation around it. But for NASA launching 3 rockets into the pathway of the eclipse, the talk about CERN activating the collider, this stuff is very interesting. And if you look back at the astrology of 9/11, many wars or significant events in history, there's always very curious energy. A lot of times Aries, which is the god of war, Aries, fight, violence. There's a lot of energy right now that is signifying fear and chaos and really asking us to fight. But it's not about bloodbaths so much as it is the deeper and the higher frequency of this, the 5th dimensional energy that we are calling in that is of the heart of love. The path of love is activating our sovereignty, our ability to manifest, to co-create, and to really create a higher, brighter future. We are all players in this big chess game. And where our power is, our sovereignty is, it's within. And as schmaltzy or as cheesy as I may sound right now, it's very serious to me. So I know whatever personal dramas or pains or fears that I am grappling with, my job right now is to summon the courage to face those. And courage is not the absence of fear. It's the healthy alchemizing of fear. I think it's really interesting when we talk about Aries energy, because Aries energy really asks us to act on instinct, which is usually, it comes from this healthy fear, it comes from desire, it comes from a place of knowing. So that's why I'm saying get in touch with your instinctual self and really seeing where you can be the maverick of your life. And what the heck is a maverick? A maverick is unorthodox. It's an independent-minded thinker. And I'm not talking about shutting yourself off, not collaborating, but listening to the still small voice within, which is not a small voice, which is your higher voice, your higher self. That's what Chiron in Aries asks us to do. It asks us to really grow in understanding with our deepest, most hidden traumas, pains, and fears, especially the ones affecting or afflicting our assertion of self in a higher way. And the higher way is love, inclusion, compassion. How can we be warriors of the light versus entrapped by our own fear? It's about self-acceptance, progress through individual action in concert with societal needs. And this is about being the extraordinary, not the ordinary. This is such a powerful time. And strange things are happening. There is going to be chaos in the months ahead, things that are unfathomable, earth-shattering. There may be things in the geomagnetics. We may have some earth stuff that happens, eruptions, storms, stuff with the weather, things like that. We also may have things, again, like I said, on the world stage with politics. Of course, the United States is going through a tremendous amount of turmoil. And if you look at the pathway of the eclipse, it goes right over the Texas-Mexico border. If you know anything about Texas politics, Texas has been talking about succeeding and becoming its own country. It has that written into the Declaration of Independence. There's a whole clause in there for that. Those talks are going on in the government. It's very interesting, and I'll put a link to NASA's pathway of the eclipse, which actually goes right over my house in Wimberley, Texas. It goes over San Antonio and Austin, through Dallas, then up into Arkansas and beyond. You can look at the path of where the eclipse tracks, but it's very significant, and it is not the first eclipse that has tracked over this area in a very short period of time. So this is kind of like the third and final wave of change. It'll be interesting to see what unfolds. I do encourage you, as another practice, to turn the television off. I don't mean don't be informed about what's going on, but use your own instincts and be really mindful of the news or the inciting fear stuff that comes up. You know, if you think about during a hurricane or like the pandemic, how all of a sudden there's no toilet paper on the shelves at the grocery store, where it's like all of a sudden people freak out, which it's a human thing, it's fear, but it's like this reactive energy where people are out for themselves. All of a sudden, people lose their steadiness, their logic, their practicality, their inclusion, and it's all out for themselves. That's the fear that's being incited. But it's like, how can we rise up? How can we begin to shift our frequency into being safe, being prepared, being aware, but not falling into mass chaos? And a lot of people say this, and I think it's a great rule of thumb, is whatever the masses are doing, notice that, pay attention to that, but also say, what am I doing? What feels right to me? What instinctually is coming up for me? What do I need to know, rather than defaulting into chaos? And there will be some chaos in the months ahead. And I don't know how that's going to play out. I have feelings and thoughts about it. I see a lot of parallels. I see it in clients and people I talk to, people that are very close in my inner circle that are very aware consciously and very psychic and intuitive, yet grounded, functional, practical humans. We are experiencing lots of shake up and shake down. That's why I am having, it's very strategically aligned, my event in Austin, Texas on May 7th, because it has an astrological and numerological correlation that actually will take us from this chaotic state in April to really get clear. And for those people who attend, it's the people who I know and the people who can attend, right? Not everybody can attend. But I know that that group of people, because I have seen them, are people who are saying, where do I reclaim my sovereignty and how do I do it from a higher state of consciousness to manifest the extraordinary in the everyday, in the ordinary? Where can I find the sacred in the profane? Where can I find the light in the darkness? And sometimes the light is just a match. But where does that, starts a fire, one spark? And we're all sparks. How do we ignite our inner fire, our inner sovereignty, our sense of agency, staying true to yourself and knowing your worth and value? Whatever you are walking through, I'll throw some more dates out just to, if you want to correlate some points. So as Mercury retrogrades this whole month, and just remember with Mercury retrograde, Mercury does rule technology. So there are technological glitches, miscommunications, people canceling stuff. We also are in a 3-month in numerology where it's just lots of stuff happening and we're having to change our schedules and go back and forth and reorganize multiple times a day. I've experienced that. And I just keep saying, okay, I'm being flexible. I'm being easy. What can I shift? What can I rearrange? If I can't do it, let me just own up to it and say, hey, I can't fit this in today. This is too much for me, but we can do it this other date. And not getting upset that somebody's going to be mad at me or not like me. Really coming back to, I'm one person, I can only do so much. Let me honor that, and then let me show up as best I can to be fully present, of service, and from this place of easiness and love. So I can come from a place that's not only precipitating ease, love, kindness, compassion, whatever it is, but also feel and experience that for myself versus taking on what may be too much for me or is not my responsibility to take on. So the dates I was going to throw out are Mercury's retrograding, and I was talking about Chiron, and it conjuncting at the exact moment of the eclipse at 19, I can't remember the minutes, whatever degrees of Aries. It is right there with the eclipse. I mean, this is major in astrology, but Mercury retrogrades, it touches that same point 3 times. And you hear that number 3. It's a 3-month in numerology, like the three, creativity, connection, communication, your yes meaning yes and your no meaning no. It's very emotional and moody, mood swings. There's lots of energy to the 3. But the 3 is a number of creation, creativity, creative self-expression, curiosity, seeing things from a different perspective, a different lens. What downloads or insights are you getting that are illuminating you? And even if it's looking at some harsh darkness within yourself, it's like giving you the information you need in order to heal. And your question is, do I want to heal? If you're out there and you're saying, I want to heal, hallelujah, yes. If you're not there, say, am I willing to heal this? Or can I be open or ready to heal this? Can I be willing to be willing? That's another question. If you're in a difficult marriage or relationship and you've been in it too long and you know it deep down, but you still want that person to be better, to do better, to say, I'm sorry, to show up differently, and they just aren't doing it. Gosh, so many of us have been there, right? And it becomes this deep interpersonal and personal battle of where do you bust up your patterns and routines? Where do you put your foot down? Where do you stand up for yourself and not against the other person? I'm quoting my friend Gwen on that one because I think it's marvelous. How do I stand up for myself and not against the other person, even if it's painful, even if it means setting a boundary or making a big decision? This is the time of big, bold decisions, and not knee-jerk, more instinctual yet with knowing. So Mercury, when it was moving direct on March 20th, go back to March 20th on your calendar, see what you were doing. Mercury crossed over Chiron for the first time. It will retrograde back over Chiron the 17th, 18th of April. Pay attention on those days. And can you correlate it back to March 20th? Can you see any data points that kind of correlate for you? And then it will, on a last and final time, when it is moving direct again. So we get direct, retrograde, direct. That's how a lot of times the astrology is when we have retrograde periods. So Mercury passes over Chiron, conjuncts with Chiron, is at the exact same point. It was on March 20th. It is on April 17th and 18th. And then it will be again on May 6th, which, by the way, my event is on May 7th on the Taurus new moon, the big manifesting new moon, the solidifying, grounding in new moon. And Mercury will be conjunct Chiron on that third, final, illuminating pass because we've got Mercury, the mind, the working mind, and Chiron, the deep inner wounds, coming up ready for their final push of healing. So pay attention to those dates. Put them down on your calendar. I would. I do. I already did. They're in my calendar, and I've looked back, and I don't know what's coming on the 16th or 17th, but I know there'll be a point of clarity, or really, because Mercury is retrograde, revising, reviewing something, rethinking something, refill in the blank, rewriting part of my story, my empowerment, my disempowerment, my wounds. How am I going to do something differently than I did in 2005? I can draw correlations there all over the place. I shared some of them with you, and I've rewritten a lot of that, but I still have old wounds that say, if I don't do this, then you're not going to believe me, or I'm not enough, or maybe I'm an imposter. And I know in my soul I'm not an imposter. I know who I am and what I believe and my love in my heart, but I can easily slip into that place of disempowerment and fear. And I guess this is important too, because it's coming through. When I am in a place of total fear or helplessness and hopelessness, who do I ask for help? I certainly call on my soul, my guides, my higher power, the creator of the universe. I certainly know how to implore that. So there is hope, there is faith, there is divine guidance, intelligence, and higher energy, light coming through. I call those troops in. But who are my human resources? Who do I turn to in times where I know I can't do something by myself? I need someone else to hold space for me. And I have learned how to do that, especially through these deaths. It's like been in my face. Amanda, you don't have to do this alone. You can ask for help, or you can ask if somebody has time to talk to you. And every time I do that, and especially like with my dog Tex, and I just want to give a shout out to, in closing this, and I'll wrap it all up for everybody. But, you know, things are personal for me, and I think that I know how personal everything is for you all right now, whatever you are walking through. So I hope this helps. But with what was going on with Tex in the last few days of his life and the last few days of our 17-year journey together, he crossed over on a Tuesday morning. On Monday, I talked to two of my sisters, and they both held the sweet space and the loving space for me because they knew how significant this was. They knew how personal it was. They knew me. They knew him. They knew my relationship with him, how significant it was in my life. And they held like unconditional, gentle space for me. They were concerned for me, but they were there for me. You know, and my family was there for me. So friends have been there for me. So many people, right? I just, you know, as much as I want to say, I got this, I'm okay, I need people. So I was able to call on them. But on the morning where I was in my deepest fear and that place of stubbornness that I was talking about, on Tuesday morning, in that moment, it was early, it was 7 a.m., and I was stubborn and determined that the vet was going to come to the house and Tex was going to die at home. I didn't want to have to move him. I didn't want it to be traumatic. And I had already called the vet. I had already made the decision that we were bringing him in. I had asserted that because he didn't need to be in any pain or struggle, and it needed to happen that morning, and it could not wait. And I was furious in my heart that he couldn't die at home, because in my stubborn self-will, I was like, he has to die at home. And yet I didn't want him to be in any pain or discomfort. And we had him medicated, but it was just a lot of pain and discomfort for me. And it was early in the morning, and I thought, oh my gosh, I can't do this by myself. And my husband had gone out of the house to walk the other dog. So it was like I had just a moment, and I was like, who do I call? Who do I ask for help in my darkest hour? And I called my oldest sister, Sally. And I called her in my messiness, my fear, and my rage, because I was angry. You know, she said the wisest thing to me, because she always does in those moments. It's her gift. Her gift is really wisdom in the midst of chaos or trauma, which is what I'm talking about here. That archetype of clarity, grounding, and truth, that eye of the storm. That's what she was for me in that moment. And she said, Amanda, you are Tex's home. Wherever you are his home. Meaning, wherever he goes, Wherever he dies, as long as you are with him, you are his home. And in that moment, there was like an ecstatic release and relief of the suffering and the fear and the stubbornness to know we were each other's home. Home is where the freaking heart is. Home is where the heart is. Schmaltzy as it is, that's what I was forgetting, and I needed someone else to be the eye of the storm for me. Who can you call on? And I want you to remember this in the months ahead, when you are struggling, when you are messy. Who can be your eye in the storm besides yourself? Who are you instinctually calling on to let in to your pain or your struggle? Allow someone else to be wise for you when you can't summon the wisdom within. We need each other. And I will say this in closing with that, and I've shared this with many clients because I learned it for myself years ago, it's a privilege to invite people into our chaos or our trauma or our suffering. Meaning, when I invited her in to hold that space for me and hold me up over the phone, she just said, I'm so glad you called me and you let me love on you. You let me be here for you. I am wickedly stubborn and self-reliant. And in that moment, I knew that's who I needed to call, but it was not just about me. It was about me allowing her in, which is the privilege of connection. So think about connection. As you get connected with yourself, you become aware of the chaos around you and where you find your clarity within yourself, within your higher consciousness, but also with the human consciousness available to you, because we do need each other. Okay, friends, here's to an eclipse that will trigger a 6-month and beyond cycle. Navigate this Mercury retrograde as best you can. There will be more to come in the episode coming up this week, but think about what correlations you can draw, maybe back to 2005, maybe, like I said, back to March 20th or March 25th, the lunar eclipse, whatever resonates for you. Extrapolate your data so you can become clear and you find your inner sanctuary, your inner stillness. Be the eye of the storm because that light is needed. And for those of you who find yourself right now in a place of peace and ease and steadiness and knowing, please beam it to all of us. Let's do this together. And if you find the eye of the storm, if it comes up for you at any point over the course of April or into May, when you have that ecstatic release, that clarity that is the peace that passes all understanding. My sister also, Sally, reminded me of that, the peace that passes all understanding. Not only embrace it and let it wash over you like grace and mercy, grace being that gift that we don't deserve, mercy being withholding from us until we get it. Remember, bask in that, and then maybe if you can, beam it out into the world. Your signals are bright. And remember, just this little bit of a spark can start a whole fire. Be well, everyone.
Residents at Brightview Senior Living Communities enjoy enhanced possibilities, independence, and choice. Brightview Dulles Corner in Herndon and Brightview, Great Falls, offer vibrant senior independent living, assisted living, and memory care services through various daily programs and cultural events. Chef-prepared meals, safety and security, transportation, resort-style amenities, and high-quality care. Everything you need is here. Discover more at brightviewseniorliving.com. Equal housing opportunity.
Did you know there's a national park just outside of our nation's capital where you can stay in cabins where future spies once stayed?
The park was mothballed during World War II. This is where the spies in training would have lodged.
And just down the road, there's a brewery with a spy theme. We're exploring Prince William County, Virginia, where nature, history, and food combine for a diverse getaway. Listen for these hidden gems by searching for the Travels with Darlie podcast on iHeart and wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts.
Hey there, it's Ryan Seacrest for Safeway. Now through April 23rd, head into your local store and check out the great new personal care products. Shop now and discover new arrivals like Secrets aluminum-free whole body spray, Shea Moisture Deodorant Cream, and Hello Deodorant. Start the season with new and refreshing spring scents. You don't want to miss out on these great new products. Discover what's new in store today. Offer expires April 23rd. Restrictions apply. Promotions may vary. Visit Safeway.com for more details.